My friend, let me start with something very real. After the age of 60, more than half of men experience problems with their prostate. Nearly 1 in 3 men wake up several times each night just to use the bathroom. And over 40% of men older than 65 report some form of erectile difficulties, lower desire, or a deep feeling that their body simply does not respond the way it used to. These are not just numbers on a medical chart. They are everyday realities that steal sleep, drain energy, and silently chip away at confidence. Maybe you already know this feeling. You lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, frustrated because you got up 2 or 3 times to urinate. Or perhaps you notice that your energy during the day has dropped. Things that used to excite you feel heavy now. And when it comes to intimacy, either alone or with your partner, the experience is not what it once was. Instead of joy, sometimes there is worry. Instead of freedom, there is a silent question inside. Is something wrong with me? Let me tell you, you are not alone. Millions of men over 50 feel the same way, but most of them never talk about it. Not with their doctor, not with their friends, not even with the person they love most. Shame has a way of silencing us, and that silence makes the struggle even heavier. I want to break that silence today. I want us to have an honest conversation, as if we were sitting together over a quiet cup of coffee. No judgment, no pretending, just the truth. Because when we understand what is happening to our bodies, we can finally stop blaming ourselves. We can learn to adapt, to change, and to find new ways of living with more health, more strength, and yes, more pleasure too. Here is the reality. Your body is not broken. It is not failing you. It is simply changing. Testosterone slowly declines with age. Circulation is not as quick as before. Muscles lose some tone, and the nervous system takes longer to recover. These are natural processes, not signs of weakness. But when we ignore them, when we keep forcing the body to behave like it did at 30, that is when problems start to grow. Think about this. How many men push their bodies as if nothing has changed? They try to keep the same speed, the same intensity, the same habits. And then they wonder why they feel pain, fatigue, or emptiness afterward. Others repeat the same frequency of self-stimulation they had at 20 every single day, even multiple times a day, not realizing that recovery at 60 takes much longer. And many forget that the prostate itself needs care. Little things like the posture you use or whether you urinate afterward can decide whether you sleep peacefully or wake up with burning discomfort. That is why today I want to walk with you through 3 of the most common mistakes men over 60 make when it comes to masturbation. Mistakes that drain energy, disturb sleep, inflame the prostate, and quietly steal joy. And more importantly, I want to show you how to correct them. Because the goal is not to stop living your desire. The goal is to live it differently, with wisdom, with care, and with respect for the stage of life you are in now. Before we dive in, I would love to know more about you. How old are you right now? What is the biggest challenge you are facing with your body at this stage? Leave a comment below, because your words can guide me in the next video, and maybe even help another man who is reading and silently struggling too. So, are you ready? Let us begin with the first mistake. And believe me, it is one I see in more than 80% of cases. The mistake of forcing the body as if it were still 30 years old. Let us take a step back for a moment. Before we talk about mistakes, it is important to understand what is really happening inside your body after 50 and especially after 60. Because once you see the changes clearly, the confusion begins to fade. The first big change is hormones. Testosterone, the main male hormone, begins to decline slowly with age. By the time you are 60, your levels are often 30 to 40% lower than they were when you were 30. That does not mean desire disappears completely. But it does mean the signal from the brain to the body is weaker. The fire is still there, but the spark takes longer to catch. The second change is circulation. When you were younger, blood flow responded instantly. A little excitement, and suddenly everything was ready. But with age, the blood vessels lose some flexibility. The heart still pumps, but the process is slower. This makes erections less firm, or sometimes they fade more quickly. Again, it is not failure. It is simply physiology. The third change is muscle tone, especially in the pelvic floor. These are the muscles that support your bladder, your prostate, and your sexual function. Over decades, they naturally weaken if you do not train them. When these muscles lose strength, control over urination can be harder and erections can feel less stable. And finally, the nervous system itself changes. Your recovery is not the same as before. At 20, you could be intimate at night and wake up full of energy in the morning. At 60, your nervous system needs more time. If you push too hard or too often, you feel drained, irritable, or unable to sleep. All of these changes are normal. They do not mean you are broken or less of a man. They simply mean your body is in a new stage of life. Just like you would not run a marathon the same way at 70 as you did at 20, you cannot expect your intimate life to follow the same rules either. Once you understand this, everything shifts. You stop blaming yourself. You stop thinking something is wrong. And you begin to ask a different question. How can I live with my body as it is now? Not as it used to be. That is exactly what we are going to explore together. And it begins with the first major mistake many men make, forcing the body as if it were still 30 years old. This is the first and most common mistake I see in men over 60. They continue to treat their body during intimacy the same way they did at 30. Fast, hard, intense, like a race against the clock. It worked then, but it often works against you now. When we are young, the body responds instantly. A little thought, a little touch, and the erection is almost automatic. Muscles are strong, blood flow is fast, hormones are high, and the nervous system recovers in hours. That is why at 20 or 30, rough and rushed habits rarely cause harm. But after 60, things change. The heart beats more calmly, circulation slows, the pelvic muscles are weaker, testosterone is lower, and yet, many men never adjust their habits. They grab tightly, move fast, tense every muscle, breathe in short bursts, and push their body as if it were still in its athletic prime. What happens then? Tiny injuries begin to accumulate. The penis may lose sensitivity. Erections may feel weaker or shorter. Pleasure itself can seem duller, even though the desire is still there. And often men confuse this with age itself, when in truth, the issue is not age, it is technique. Let me share an example. A patient of mine, Luis, was 67 years old. He came to me saying, "Doctor, I do not know what is happening. I still feel desire, but I cannot finish like before. It takes me half an hour, and sometimes I cannot reach satisfaction at all. It frustrates me." When I asked him how he touched himself, he described the exact routine he had used since his 20s, sitting at the edge of the bed, holding tight, rushing, breathing fast. In other words, forcing his body with the memory of youth. I suggested something very simple. Slow down, loosen the grip, breathe deeply. Focus on sensations instead of rushing to the end. Relax the thighs and abdomen. 2 weeks later, Luis came back smiling. He said, "Doctor, I had no idea it could feel like this. I thought I was finished. But now it is as if I am rediscovering my body. I feel more and I even sleep better after." That is the power of listening to your body instead of forcing it. Because when you push too hard, you are not only tiring muscles, you are also putting pressure on the pelvic floor, the very area that supports the prostate. Too much tension there can cause swelling, burning sensations, frequent urination at night, even long-term inflammation. So what is the solution? It is not about stopping intimacy. It is about changing the way you approach it. Think of it as moving from running a sprint to enjoying a slow walk at sunset. Take your time. Use a gentler rhythm. Breathe fully. Let the pleasure rise gradually instead of demanding it arrive instantly. Your body at 60 or 70 is wise. It does not want to be rushed. It wants to be respected, and when you respect it, you will be surprised how much sensitivity and pleasure can return. Even your mood, your energy during the day, and your sleep at night can improve. So remember this, my friend. Do not force your body like it is still 30. It is not a machine that has failed. It is a companion that has carried you for decades and now asks for a gentler touch. If you give it that, it will reward you with something deeper than before, not just release, but true connection with yourself. Now let us move to the second mistake, and this one is just as common. Many men continue to keep the same frequency of self-pleasure they had when they were 20 or 30 years old. Every day, sometimes even multiple times a day. As if the body can still bounce back in hours. At a younger age, recovery is fast. Hormones surge, muscles repair overnight, and the nervous system resets quickly. But after 50, and even more so after 60, the body needs time. If you do not allow that recovery, problems begin to show. Here is what often happens. Each time you reach release, your body goes through a cycle. Dopamine rises, giving you pleasure and satisfaction. Then dopamine falls, leaving a temporary emptiness. At 20, that dip barely affects you. But at 60, if you repeat this cycle every single day, or more than once a day, the emptiness grows. Soon you feel tired, irritable, or unmotivated. Sleep becomes harder. Focus slips. And instead of energy, you are left with fatigue. I have seen many men confuse this exhaustion with aging itself. They say, "Doctor, I think I am just getting old." But when we look deeper, the truth is that their body is not tired from age, it is tired from overuse. Sexual energy, like physical energy, needs balance. If you run a marathon every single day, your legs will collapse. If you release every single day without pause, your nervous system will protest. Let me tell you about Carlos, a man of 64. He came into my office complaining of constant fatigue. He said, "Doctor, I wake up already tired. I feel no motivation. Sometimes after I finish, I even feel sadness." When I asked about his routine, he admitted, with embarrassment, that he touched himself every single morning. It was automatic, like brushing his teeth, but it no longer gave him joy. It was a habit, not a desire. I suggested he pause for a few days. Only continue if the desire was genuine, not just routine, and when he did, to approach it more slowly, with intention, not urgency. 2 weeks later, he returned with a lighter face. He said, "Doctor, I am sleeping better. I wake up with more energy. I even feel more patient with my wife." He had not stopped altogether. He had simply reduced the frequency to once or twice a week. That small adjustment gave his body the rest it needed. This is the lesson. Desire is a gift, but frequency must be adapted to age. If you are still stimulating yourself daily, or more than once a day, ask yourself, are you doing it out of real desire or out of habit, boredom, or anxiety? If it is the second, you are not gaining pleasure, you are draining energy. The solution is not to give it up completely, it is to find a new rhythm. Allow the body to rest between experiences. Some men even explore intimacy without always rushing to ejaculation, enjoying connection without draining all their energy. Others replace an automatic routine with a walk, deep breathing, or a conversation. There are many ways to honor desire without exhausting yourself. Remember this truth: rest is part of pleasure. Your body needs recovery as much as stimulation, and when you give it both, you feel not only better in intimacy but also stronger in daily life. Now we come to the third mistake, and this one is perhaps the most underestimated. Men forget about their prostate. Or maybe it is better to say, they never learned how to take care of it in the first place. Nobody teaches us these things when we are young. Not in school, not at home, not even in most doctors' offices. But after 50, and especially after 60, your prostate becomes one of the most important players in your health and in your intimate life. The prostate is a small gland, about the size of a walnut, located just below the bladder. Its main job is to produce part of the fluid that makes up semen, but it sits in a very sensitive neighborhood of the body. It is surrounded by nerves, muscles, and blood vessels that affect urination, erection, and pleasure. That means even small amounts of pressure or irritation can create real problems over time. Here are a few common habits that silently hurt the prostate. First, posture. Many men touch themselves while sitting on hard chairs, leaning forward, or even lying face down, pressing directly on the perineum, the area between the testicles and the anus. That pressure may not hurt immediately, but over time it squeezes the prostate. The result is inflammation, burning sensations, or a dull ache in the lower belly or between the legs. Second, forgetting to urinate afterward. This is one of the simplest but most overlooked habits. After ejaculation, fluid can remain in the urethra. If you do not urinate, those traces become a breeding ground for bacteria. The outcome? Burning when you urinate, a constant feeling of urgency, or even prostatitis, a painful inflammation of the gland. Let me tell you about Jose, a 71-year-old man. He had been suffering for months with discomfort every time he urinated. He had already taken antibiotics twice, but the problem kept coming back. When we talked, I discovered his routine. He often touched himself late at night, then fell asleep right away. He never emptied his bladder afterward. I asked him to try something very simple. After finishing, stand up, walk a little, and urinate, even if it is only a small stream. 2 weeks later, he told me amazed, "Doctor, the burning is gone. I sleep better. I feel normal again." Sometimes the smallest habits bring the biggest relief. Third, tension. When men rush the process, they squeeze their glutes, thighs, and abdomen. That internal pressure directly affects the prostate. If done repeatedly, the gland stays inflamed. The consequences may show up as getting up once in the night to urinate, then twice, then 3 times. Many men think this is simply aging. But often, it starts with years of unconscious tension placed on the prostate. So what can you do to protect this delicate but vital gland? Here are some practical steps. Asterisk. Choose a relaxed posture. Sit in a comfortable chair with your legs open, or lie on your back without pressing your stomach. Avoid positions that put weight on the perineum. Asterisk. Take your time. Do not rush. Breathe deeply and let the body stay relaxed. Asterisk. Always urinate after ejaculation. Think of it as cleaning the system, flushing out what remains. Asterisk. Listen to the signals. If you notice burning, urgency, or increased trips to the bathroom at night, do not ignore it. These are early signs that your prostate is asking for attention. I want to stress this. The prostate rarely complains loudly at first. It whispers. 1 extra trip to the bathroom. A mild burning sensation. A little heaviness in the pelvis. If you ignore those whispers, they grow into shouts: chronic inflammation, frequent infections, or severe difficulty urinating. But if you listen early and adjust your habits, you can prevent years of discomfort. I have seen men who thought they were finished, men who believed nothing could help them, suddenly regain their peace just by changing the way they cared for their prostate. Better sleep, more energy, stronger intimacy, all by respecting a gland no bigger than a walnut. So, my friend, do not ignore your prostate. It does not ask for much. Just a little attention, a little care, and it will quietly support you every single day. My friend, we have talked about mistakes. Now let us focus on solutions. Because the good news is that there are many simple, natural ways to protect your health, restore your energy, and enjoy intimacy even more after 60. You do not need expensive pills or miracle products. What you need is consistent care and small habits that, over time, create big changes. First, exercise for your body and your pelvic floor. Walking is one of the best medicines for men over 60. 30 minutes a day keeps circulation flowing, lowers blood pressure, and boosts mood. But do not forget about your pelvic muscles, the ones that support your bladder, prostate, and sexual function. Simple exercises, like gently contracting and releasing those muscles, can improve control, help with erections, and reduce nighttime trips to the bathroom. Think of it as training the foundation of your house. Second, pay attention to what you eat and drink. Your diet has a direct impact on your sexual health. Too much alcohol, heavy fried foods, and sugary snacks inflame the body and slow circulation. On the other hand, green vegetables, berries, nuts, olive oil, and fish rich in omega-3 feed your heart, your brain, and yes, even your prostate. Drinking enough water also supports a healthy urinary system. Remember, a healthy plate is the best fuel for a healthy body. Third, protect your sleep. Sleep is when your body repairs itself. If you cut corners, your hormones suffer, your mood drops, and your energy fades. Aim for 7 to 8 hours each night. Create a quiet bedtime routine. Dim lights, turn off screens, maybe stretch or read before bed. Many men notice that when they improve their sleep, their desire and energy for intimacy naturally return. Fourth, manage your stress. Stress is like poison for testosterone and for pleasure. When your mind is full of tension, your body cannot relax, and intimacy becomes harder. Find simple tools to release stress. Deep breathing, meditation, gentle stretching, or even talking openly with a friend can calm your nervous system. Remember, a relaxed mind is the doorway to a relaxed body. Fifth, visit your doctor for regular checkups. I know many men avoid the clinic unless something is wrong, but prevention is always easier than treatment. A simple check of your blood pressure, cholesterol, testosterone levels, and prostate health once a year can save you from years of discomfort. Do not wait until problems are big. Take control early. Finally, reconnect with yourself and, if possible, with your partner. After 60, intimacy is less about speed and more about connection. Explore touch, closeness, conversation. Allow yourself to experience pleasure without rushing to the end. Some men discover that slowing down gives them more satisfaction than ever before. Respect, tenderness, and curiosity are as important as physical performance. I have seen men who followed these steps walking daily, eating better, resting well, managing stress, checking their health, and respecting their intimacy transform completely. Their eyes shine brighter, their energy returns, and their relationships grow deeper. They discover that life after 60 can still be full of vitality, passion, and joy. So remember, the key is not to fight your age, but to work with it. Your body is asking for care, not force. Give it that care, and it will reward you with years of strength and satisfaction. My friend, we have walked a long path together in this conversation. We have spoken about things most men keep locked inside their minds for years. And if you stayed with me until now, it tells me you care about your health, your energy, and your life. That already makes you stronger than you think. Let us take a moment to summarize the 3 big mistakes we uncovered. First, forcing the body as if it were still young. At 60 or 70, your body does not want speed and pressure. It wants gentleness, patience, and respect. When you slow down, you gain back sensitivity and even improve your sleep and mood. Second, keeping the same frequency as in youth. Daily release without rest drains your nervous system. It leaves you tired, irritable, and unmotivated. Reducing frequency allows your body to recover, and you will be surprised how much energy returns. Third, ignoring the prostate. That small walnut-sized gland plays a huge role in your life. Wrong postures, not urinating afterward, and unnecessary tension inflame it. By protecting it, you protect your nights, your comfort, and your future. The message is simple. Your body is not broken. It is not failing. It is changing. And change is not the end of the road, it is simply a new stage. When you adapt to that stage with wisdom, you do not lose your masculinity, you deepen it. You live with more awareness, more peace, and more satisfaction than before. I have seen men who felt hopeless, who thought they were finished, recover their sparkle just by making these small changes. They sleep better, they laugh more. They feel alive again. You can be one of them. So tonight, try one small step. Maybe you slow down. Maybe you breathe deeper. Maybe you get up to urinate afterward. Or maybe you decide to rest an extra day before trying again. Notice how your body responds. Respect its signals. That is the path to lasting health and intimacy. And now I want to ask you something. How old are you right now? And what is the biggest challenge you are facing with your body? Write it in the comments. Not only will it help me guide you in the next video, but it may also give courage to another man who reads and realizes he is not alone. If this video was useful for you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you truly want me to keep sharing these honest conversations, show me your support. And one more thing, if you agree that these topics matter, type the number 1 in the comments. If you feel it was not for you, type the number 0. Your response matters. It tells me we are building not just a channel, but a community of men who want to live stronger, healthier, and more peaceful lives after 50 and 60. Take care of yourself, my friend. Respect your body, and it will respect you back. I will see you in the next video.